Hi, I'm Linda, and this is No Frills ASMR. I am just back from taking my husband to get a colonoscopy. It is his second in his lifetime. And so I just thought we could talk about what the deal is with the prep. I think a lot of people don't want to do a colonoscopy, not because of the procedure so much, but because of the prep. And so I just thought we could talk about it. What happens, and is it really that bad? I've had one colonoscopy, and I was told to come back in 10 years. So I don't have to go back for like another 5 years, I think. When we had our first ones, they used to recommend you start at 50 years old. But now I think the recommendation is 45. You have your first. And I think that's because there have just been increased rates of colon cancer. And a reason like colonoscopies are so great is because they can find these little polyps that you might have, which are like little growths. And they just use a little thing to cut those off immediately. And then they send them out to be tested. But something like, I don't have the stats, but something like 70% of cancers grow out of those polyps. So having them cut off kind of knocks that out. So it's pretty awesome. It's worthwhile. They make these kits now. You may have seen the commercial with the cute little color guard. I think it's color guard, something like that. And those ones you can send a sample in at home, and then you send it off. And that's kind of a nice screening tool. Of course, if it comes back that anything's wrong, you're still going to have to go get a colonoscopy. But the great thing, in my opinion, and I'm not a doctor, P.S., not a nurse, not nothing, nothing like that. So please go see your doctor and find out information based on your history. Because even that 45 number, the age when you should first get one, can vary if your family history of colon cancer or if you have IBS or, I don't know, other things. So definitely talk to your own doctor about it. But yeah, if you go in, they can take those polyps off immediately, and then they're way less likely to ever form a cancer, while the home tests are just seeing if you, I think they test some DNA. I don't know. I haven't looked into it that hard because we're just doing the old-fashioned way. But I can tell you, colonoscopy is going to be more thorough and preventative, I think, than the test. But that is better than nothing, you know what I mean? Anyway, okay, so let's talk about what the prep is. All right, so first thing you do is 7 days prior to your test, you start on a low fiber diet. Also, actually, even before that, if you're on any of the weight loss drugs or diabetes drugs that slow your digestion, like Ozempic or Wegovy, or what are they called? I think they're the injectable ones, because the ones you take by mouth, I don't know what the rules are in that yet, because they don't say on here, I don't think yet, because they're kind of new. I saw it on here. Anyway, so you'll want to stop. I think they say like a week before, but I was listening to a podcast, and I think people who are on those medications are saying stop like 2 weeks before, because it takes a while for that to get out of your system. Okay, so that's the first thing. Stop any drugs that are slowing your digestive system well in advance. And then you do a low fiber diet. to start 7 days prior to the test. So they recommend you avoid yogurt mixed with nuts, seeds, granola, fruit with skin or seeds such as berries. And they recommend milk, buttermilk, cheese, yogurt, sour cream. Foods to avoid. No, don't have any whole grains or high fiber. Brown or wild rice, whole grain breads, rolls, crackers, whole grain or high fiber cereal such as raisin bran or oatmeal. Bread or cereal with nuts or seeds. They don't want like any little, because a lot of people have what's called diverticuli, which is like, I'm not really sure, but I think it's like little flaps almost, little gross in your intestines, and like seeds and things can get little trapped in there, and then sometimes they can get inflamed and it'll cause you pain. That's diverticulitis. But so they don't want any of those kind of things getting caught up in there. And so you recommended foods are breads and grains made from refined white flour, white rice, plain crackers such as saltines, low fiber cereals such as Rice Krispies or cornflakes. So it's like all the foods that my husband and I don't eat. We eat all the high fiber and fruit, but it's only for a week. So, and then foods to avoid: no seeds, skins, or dried fruit. No raw fruit with seeds or skins, including berries, pineapple, apples, oranges, or watermelon. Any cooked or canned fruit with seeds, and raisins. But recommended fruit juice without pulp, applesauce, ripe cantaloupe or honeydew. Oh, I love honey. I love cantaloupe. Canned or cooked fruit without seeds. And then foods to avoid: no raw, skin, seeds, or peel vegetables. No raw skins. That's kind of confusing. No corn, potatoes with skins, tomatoes, cooked cabbage, Brussels sprouts, green peas, lima beans, or onions. Brussels sprouts are my favorite vegetable. But recommended is canned or cooked vegetables without skin or peel, potatoes without skin, cucumbers without seeds. Well, I can tell you that my husband basically, because we don't like, I cook pretty healthy. So he's like, can you get me some lunch meat, turkey, and cheese and white bread? I was like, fine. So he would take turkey and cheese and roll it up like provolone and then eat that. And then he took white bread and toasted it and ate it with butter. And then he had like plain pasta. It was like he was having fun, I think, eating all this and crackers and what have you. So there we go. But so that's for a week, and that's just to kind of lower your fiber intake. So they say as soon as you get these instructions, check your medication and make necessary adjustments if you take blood thinners or diabetic drugs. Make arrangements for transportation. Yeah, you have to have somebody drive you. 7 days before the procedure, begin the low fiber diet. Stop all vitamins and iron supplements. If you have a history of constipation, take Miralax 8 ounces or 1 cap daily. Pick up your bowel prep from the pharmacy. And I don't remember if the doctor that my husband was seeing asked him this, but I know when I went, they said, do you want the prescription version or do you just want us to send you the instructions and you do over counter? And I was like, why not the prescription? Because I think my insurance will cover it. Over the counter I have to pay for. So what they do is and this is their different, we'll talk about it, but they're different preps. But the prep that we picked up from the pharmacist was this huge jug. And if I remember correctly, there was powder in the bottom. And then you fill it up with water and mix it up and put it in the refrigerator. And as we'll talk about, you're going to drink this whole bottle of fluid. And honestly, that's the worst part. And it's not even that. It kind of sucks, but you can manage. All right. If you have a history of constipation, 1 day before procedure, so this is 1 day, clear liquids only, no solid food. Follow the attached instructions for bowel prep. It says start your bowel prep, first dose at 6 p.m. The day of the procedure, finish the prep. Take the second part of the prep, dose 2, at 7 hours before the procedure, and dose 2 should be finished 4 hours before the procedure. That sounds kind of crazy. You go, well, 7 hours before, but you finish it at 4, 5, 6, 7. That gives you 3 hours. But that second part is like half of this thing. So, and you start to get real like, I don't want to drink that. It's a little bit like you have to almost time yourself. Like every 15 minutes you drink so many ounces, and then you drink. So that's what Greg did. All right. No candy, cough drops, gum, chewing tobacco, or snuff. Failure to comply may result in your procedure being delayed or canceled. Bring your completed history form and current list of medications. Okay, so that's our, and here are the medication concerns. If you're on any blood thinners, if you are a diabetic and require insulin, your dose may need to be adjusted, so you'd have to talk to them. If you take certain injections for diabetes or weight loss, such as semaglutide, which is Ozempic and Wegovy, trizepatide, such as Mounjaro or Zepbound, or doluglutide, which is Trulicity, you will need a whole dose 7 days prior. I would extend that. I would make that 14, from what I understand. Tips for easier bowel prep. Mix the prep, this, ahead of time and have it chilled in the refrigerator before you drink it. Drink or add a flavored mix. Now, his came with a little packet of lemon flavoring, so he added that. Try drinking the solution with a straw. We didn't do that. We don't have straws. So I don't. Stay close to the bathroom. Yeah. Prepare soft toilet paper or wet wipes. Yeah. If you experience nausea and or vomiting, or if you are unable to tolerate the prep. Okay. When I did it, this was kind of my biggest problem, was just trying to drink this down in time. I started to get like, like my stomach wasn't big enough to hold it all, and I felt so bloated. But I managed. I just kept sipping. But I could see how you could feel a little like, ugh. Okay. Try to slow down on drinking the prep to every 30 minutes. If you are better, then continue until you are finished drinking the prep. However, if you are unable to consume the entire prep, purchase 2 Docalax tablets and 2 32-ounce Gatorades and 1 238 grams of Miralax. So they're giving you, if you can't do this, you can take these. They're spelling it different here. Dulcolax. I think it's Dulcolax. And then drink the Miralax, which makes you go to the bathroom too. And Gatorade to keep you hydrated. Wait 4 hours. I think this might be the other prep that you can do over the counter. So they tell you, and this is a lot of Miralax, by the way. It's like the big container. Take 2 tabs of Dulcolax, mix half the Miralax and 32 ounces of Gatorade. Mix and drink 8 ounces of Gatorade Miralax mix every 15 minutes until it's gone. Wait 4 hours. If stool is not clear, mix the other half of the Miralax with the remaining Gatorade. Drink 8 ounces every 15 minutes until gone. So the goal of all this is for your stool to be like all liquid and almost clear, like urine colored, or I read iced tea color, but like very light and clear and nothing in there. That's the goal. All right, so here are some of the different preps. Now, we won't look at all of these because everybody's doctor will probably tell them different things. I'm sure they all have different plans, but this is the one that came with this that they recommended. So you take your first dose at 6 p.m. And because he had a 9 a.m. appointment, you take your second dose at 2 a.m. And I was like, well, why can't you back all this up? Because you'd be clear as long as you don't eat or drink anything. But they said, nope, do it this way. Like, okay. Because then you have to wake up at 2 a.m. and drink half this. So I don't know. You might want to think about what time you set your appointment. But it was fine. He was fine. Okay, dose 1. You take 2 of the Dulcolax. Now, this is not a stool softener or anything like that. It's what this does is activates your colon. It makes your colon kind of go, I need to get to work. So some people, even if they drink all this fluid, it won't get their whole colon cleared out because it'll be blocked up. So you take these 2 Dulcolax and that gets that going. And they're 5 milligram tablets with 8 ounces of water. Fill the prep container with 128 ounces of water. Mix and then 8 ounces of prep. And then drink 8 ounces of prep solution every 15 minutes until half of it's sorry, hold on. Gosh. Until half the solution is finished. So 8 glasses over 2 hours. Keep the rest in the refrigerator. So we actually timed it because we're those kind of people. So literally every 15 minutes you drink 8 ounces. That seems like not much, but it comes at you quick. The first couple go down easy. And then you're like, oh my God, I have to do another 8 ounces, another 8 ounces. But it's doable. Okay. And so you keep the rest in the refrigerator. So now you've done half of the solution. And this is like a lemon flavored solution. And then dose 2, which is at 2 a.m. So we set an alarm. You start drinking the rest 7 hours before your colonoscopy. So that's how you can figure out what your timing is if you're doing this prep. 7 hours before. And finish 4 hours before the procedure. So you can't have anything within 4 hours. Nothing to eat or drink after completing dose 2. You must finish 4 hours prior to your colonoscopy. They don't want anything in your stomach because you will be anesthetized, and they don't want you to like throw up and choke or anything. One time we had an appointment for one of my oldest sons who was living off on his own to get his wisdom teeth out. And oh my God, I'm this is a call out. I hope he doesn't hear this, but I went to drive him to the appointment and we get there and they said, you didn't have anything to eat or drink, right? He goes, nope. And then he goes, well, and just as an aside, he goes, well, I had a glass of water this morning. And they're like, that's drinking. And he's like, it was just water. So we had to reschedule the appointment. I was like, oh no, because it's so hard to get in. But anyway, he was young. He was like 19. I mean, I don't know. Give him a break. Bad. Maybe I should blame myself for not saying, when they say nothing, they mean nothing. So yeah, nothing, not water, nothing to eat or drink after completing your dose 2. You must finish 4 hours prior to your colonoscopy. Okay, so that's what you do. And then you will be cleared out if you've done everything correctly. I mean, and by the way, like my husband was worried about it. He's like, oh, I'm going to be going all night long. No, not really. He only went like a few, I don't know. I didn't ask, but not that much. It was fine. It just got all out. Everything was fine. It really wasn't. The worst part about the whole thing is just drinking this fluid. And even that's like, whatever. Like, suck it up. Or you could do the Miralax thing. You could ask. You put it with Gatorade. That might be easier if you're used to drinking Gatorade. Because I admit the lemon flavor in here is a little, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay. So then you go into the office. They call you back. They, you know, put the little oxygen on your nose, and then they put, I think, I didn't ask him, but I assume they put the IV, with the fluid to knock you out. And they say, it's going to feel a little warm going in, and you'll have a metallic, and you're out. You're out. And then you wake up on the other side of it. And I think the truth is you're not really totally out. They give you medication that makes you not remember anything, which is wild. Yeah. So a lot of times you don't remember stuff that happened right away after you wake up. And I try to tell them that, like my husband and also my son who's had some surgeries, they don't wake up very well out of anesthesia. So like I kind of try to tell them to do a lesser dose. And one of my sons, he had to have a couple different operations. And the second time the guy's like, oh, okay, I'll give you less. I just thought you were young and healthy, you'd need more. And he gave him less, and then he woke up a lot easier. So if you have a problem with that, you might let them know. But anyway, so they did get a polyp, which the doctor said, they'll send off, but it looks okay. But that's good, so now that polyp isn't there to turn into cancer. And, but otherwise everything looked good. And the doctor said, make sure you eat lots of fiber, which we do. And he said, and I said, soluble or insoluble, like, is there? And he goes, well, both, but psyllium husk is really good as far as, insoluble fiber. And I said, what do you think about these pills? Because I sometimes take these because I don't like drinking the stuff. And he said, I go, oh, really? He said, well, they don't have very much fiber. I was like, what? So, excuse this, the lid fell off and broke, so I put some plastic on here. But this is what I used to take. And this, I think I bought it at Trader Joe's, is just like Metamucil, but without any of the flavoring. I don't like Metamucil because I don't like the flavor of it, but this is just straight up psyllium seed husk. And you mix it in water and then you choke it down. But I didn't enjoy drinking it. I'd force myself to, but I didn't really enjoy it. So then I got these because I thought, oh, this is easier. I'll show you. They look like, look at me, my professional unpackaging. They just look like, little pills. And if you were to open them, they're full of the psyllium husk. So I was like, well, that's easier. But he said you have to take like 12 of these to equal a tablespoon of this. I was like, what? So I was looking at it, and 5 capsules are 2 grams of fiber. And this, 2 tablespoons, which you mix into a glass of water, are 7 grams of fiber. So yeah, he's right. 2, 4, 6. So you'd have to have 15 of these and still wouldn't have as much as having the 2 tablespoons of this. So I guess I should go back to drinking this, because they told me the same thing. They were like, make sure you get psyllium. And because I said, oh, I eat a lot of, good fibrous food. And they said, well, add psyllium. I was like, okay. Because this is insoluble, soluble and insoluble. Oh, I was thinking, okay, soluble. I don't know. This one gets like bulky. Like once you have to make sure you drink it with a lot of water, and it like fluffs up, and then it helps everything to kind of move along. So, and I'll show you, it kind of just looks like, it's just seed husk, like it just looks like that. So you mix it into water and it fluffs up almost immediately. So you kind of have to drink it quick or it becomes almost like gel. Yeah. I'll just set that here. I don't know. So there you go, a little bit. If any of you are feeling afraid to get one, just do it. I think it's worth it. And I know they make those color guards or whatever they're called, which is better than nothing. But I think I would just go get a colonoscopy. Just get it done. And hopefully they'll say, come back in 10 years. And you're like, I don't have to go back. Now, that's the other thing they said. It's a lot of people will get the first one, but then never go back. But you should really go back because they can go in there and just chop off any of the little, any growths, anything growing in there. And that helps keep cancer from ever starting, which is better than doing the test and finding out after the fact. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so if you're 45, start thinking about it. Talk to your doctor about it. All right, guys. Well, I know that was probably a little unusual, but I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go drink some psyllium right now. I could try putting it in my smoothie, but I'm always afraid it'll make it